Hey Victor, sorry. I was talking to Joe, and just need to get a couple things. They probably asked you all your name and all that. I want to get it all myself, okay? And I was talking to the other detective, and he said that you wanted to have a lawyer, and I just wanted to make it clear that, you know, you guys came back, I guess because I came out and spoke to you, that, you know...
At the end of the last discussion, they were basically asking me over and over the same thing, and, you know, I had nothing else to say, and I didn't know, I really didn't know where they were going with their questioning, and
Right.
so I'm happy to tell you what happened.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that you're here voluntarily.
I am here voluntarily.
Okay.
I will tell you, I am absolutely exhausted.
I understand.
My adrenaline is gone, and
Right.
I am just...
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get through this. It's not going to take very long, and you guys will be on your way. Get your rest. I'm sure I'll be talking to you many times after this, but for now, you can understand how important it is for me to get what I need out of this, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. And your last name is?
Zaborsky. It's Caborsky. My first name is Victor, Victor.
Middle name?
Johann, which is Johann.
All right. And you live at 1509?
1509 Swan Street, Northwest.
And your date of birth?
12866.
And Social Security?
443 76 7185.
And you have what's the home phone there?
202-265-3444.
And do you have a work number?
Yes, 202-220-3515.
And where's that at?
It's the International Dairy Foods Association.
And you have a cell?
Yes, 202-309-3828. I don't have it with me, it's in the house.
That's fine. All right, why don't you go ahead and just start and tell me what happened.
Well,
let me ask you this. How do you know Robert?
I know Robert through Joe. Joe and I have been together for 6 years, and I met Robert and Kathy just before they got engaged. I would say probably like 5 years ago, and went to their wedding. I would consider them personally friends, not like they're very close to Joe. I see them probably like 3 or 4 times a year. We've gone out to their house twice. They've come to our house for dinner probably twice, and they've come to some parties that we've had at our house. Last time I saw them, because I didn't actually see Robert tonight until after this happened. Last time I saw them was probably in May or June, I don't remember exactly, but Kathy had had hip replacement surgery, and Dylan, Joe, and I went out there on a Saturday and took a basket of things for her to entertain herself. So that's how I knew them.
Okay. And then tonight, did you know he was coming over?
I didn't. I've been on a business trip. I was in Denver, and I got on an earlier flight. So I got home, or I got into Dulles at around 5:30, 5:45. I had a car pick me up, and I got home around 6:30, and when I got home, I had talked to Joe in the car on the way, and he was on his way home from work, and he said he was going to the gym. And so when I got home, Dylan was home. He was exercising up in his room. He told me Joe was at the gym, so I decided I'd go to the gym. I was only there for like 30 minutes. Came home. I never did see Joe until I got home. And Dylan was in the shower when I got home. Joe was, I think, already showered. He was upstairs in our bedroom changing. And then I came up and changed and took a shower. And then we had been having plumbing problems in our top floor bathroom. So Joe was trying to explain to me what he's been doing, trying to figure out the problem. And so he was doing all these experiments with running water down it. And I went down and helped Dylan with dinner. So we fixed dinner. I mean, one of the things that we had steak on the grill, and Joe came down at one point and said, "Oh, Victor, you have to call. We have 2 children with a lesbian couple in Silver Spring, and he goes, you have to call Alec. He has big news." So I called Alec. I'm the grill person, and anyway, he lost a tooth, and he rode his bike for the first time without training wheels. So I was talking to him, and I look up, and all of a sudden there's this huge plume of smoke, and so I yell at them, and they went out and threw water on it. Anyway, we finish fixing dinner, we sit down, we have our dinner. Just at the end of dinner, just as we're starting to clear the dishes, Joe remembers he had left the water on full in the shower, so he runs up, and then Dylan and I finished cleaning the kitchen. We cleaned the kitchen, I got a glass of water, and I went upstairs, and then I went to the roof and watered the plants on the roof. Joe was still messing with the shower. Dylan had come up the same time the stairs with me, and he'd gone into his room. And then I finished watering the flowers on the roof, so I came down and I was going to water the flowers out front, and I did. And at that point, I remember that Dylan's room, his door was closed. I saw the light under there, assuming he's reading. Joe was making a big deal of how we had to keep the doors closed because it was so hot in the house, and it would keep the air conditioning in the rooms. So I went out to water the plants, came back, went right upstairs, and Dylan was making the guest bed in the office. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, Robert's coming over." He said that Robert had to work late and he didn't want to have to drive all the way back to Oakton. So he was going to spend the night and then have breakfast with Joe this morning. So I helped Dylan make the bed, and then I just went upstairs and turned on the TV. We had been talking at dinner. There's a show called Project Runway, and we were going to watch it, Joe and I. Dylan doesn't really watch television. So it was probably at that point, like, just before 10 o'clock, because that's what time that show comes on. And I was looking for it, couldn't find it. Joe came up, and he said it was on Bravo. I clicked over to where Bravo is, and we didn't get it anymore, because I don't know when, but like a month ago or so, he called and changed our cable, so we no longer had that set of channels. So he went downstairs, and I didn't know what he was doing. I was just flipping the channels, and evidently he called the cable or the dish satellite people and had them reinstate those channels. So he comes up like probably 10 after 10 or quarter after 10, something like that, and says, "Try it again." So I tried it, it's on, so we're watching TV, we're watching it together. The phone rings, and it was Robert saying he was on his way.
And this came on at 10 o'clock?
The show came on at 10. We missed, I don't know how much we missed. I mean, I wasn't watching the clock, but probably not much, so maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
And at this point, you guys were watching it together?
Joe and I are. And the phone rings. He says he's on his way. And Joe says, "Just ring the doorbell when you get here." So I continue watching it. Joe went downstairs probably about 10 minutes later or something like that, and evidently Robert had come and Dylan had gotten the door, and so they stayed down there. I was already ready for bed. I was just in my underwear, and coming back from the trip, I was tired. I really didn't want to chat, so I just stayed upstairs. So that's all I knew, at least at the time, of that. Then Joe came up probably at 11:15, and I'm guesstimating that time based on where the show was, because I think there were 2 more ad breaks that he watched with me. And they kind of crunch everything at the end, so maybe 10 till 11 even. And we watched the end of the show. The show was over. I went into the bathroom. I have postnasal drip from my trip, so I took a Sudafed. And then I saw we also had Unisom, so I took a Unisom because I thought the Sudafed keeps me awake. And so I took a Unisom and a Sudafed, and I went to bed, and I fell asleep pretty quickly. Next thing I know, I woke up with the screams. I did not hear the chime. I was sound asleep, so I heard these sounded like a really low, breathy grunt kind of sound, but it was loud. And so I jumped up. Joe jumped up beside me. We're both sort of, what is that? What is that? We run to the door of our bedroom and open the door, and we heard another kind of grunt, and flip the switch on in the hallway, and we both start running down the stairs, and Joe was just in front of me. And then we got to the doorway of the office and saw Robert laying on the bed, and I just freaked out. His eyes were rolled back. He looked very pale. I saw his shirt was up a little bit, and I didn't see like a lot of blood, but I saw some blood, and then I just didn't look. I mean, I saw something, and I just turned away really quickly, and I started screaming, at the top of my lungs. And Joe just said, go upstairs and call 911. So I did that. I immediately went upstairs, dialed 911, talked to the operator. I told her that I thought somebody had broken into our house, and that somebody may have been hurt, because I didn't really know what had happened, and I wasn't necessarily thinking. And she just was asking me questions. And
now, where did you come up with that somebody broke in when you told the police that? Did you just assume that, or did Joe tell you, or Dylan tell you that somebody broke in?
No, it was just an assumption.
Okay.
But it was just assumption. So I'm on the phone with her, and I sort of go to the top of the stairs where I can sort of see Joe, and Joe is telling me, get an ambulance here right away. So I tell her we need an ambulance right away. I said, she was telling me that I'd need to go downstairs to meet the ambulance and the police, and I said I don't know if someone's here. So I did. At that point, I walked down the stairs to where Joe was, and Dylan was in the doorway. He was wearing a bathrobe. Joe was over Robert, and he was applying pressure to the wound already. The 911 operator had told me to take a towel and apply pressure to the wound. So I had gone into the bathroom and grabbed a towel and my robe when I came downstairs. Gave the towel to Joe, and I was still on the phone with the operator. And Joe was like, "Where is the ambulance? We need it." I don't know how much time elapsed. It seemed like a long time, but so I went to the window and looked out the window and didn't see anything. And I'm talking to the operator still. And Joe had asked what time it was. So I asked the operator, and she said it was 11:43. And then I looked out the window again, and I saw the ambulance pull up, and down the street I saw the fire engine. And so I went downstairs, all the way down to the first floor, and I was the first one down there, and opened the door, and I basically was just sort of running down the steps so that I could run out the door if there was somebody there, because I didn't know what to expect. And then the ambulance people came in. They went right upstairs. I stayed downstairs.
What did you tell them?
I don't remember. I told them that he was in the front bedroom, but I don't know if I told them.
Did you tell them that he was stabbed?
I don't remember. I probably did, because I definitely, at that time, I'd been in the room and seen him. So I probably did say he was stabbed.
Did you see the knife?
I'm confused now, because I think I saw the knife the first time I came down the steps, but I really looked so quickly and was hysterical that I don't know whether I did or not. I thought I saw a black handle, and I thought I saw it. See, when I was telling one of the other detectives, I remember I thought I saw one hand on his stomach, and then I remember he had his one hand was like weird because it was like standing up and sort of twisted. And so I thought I saw the handle of the knife resting against him, but when I first told the police officers, or told the detectives here, I told them that he was holding his stomach. So I don't really know. I know he wasn't holding his stomach with both hands because I vividly remember now the hand because it was so awkwardly positioned. So I told them that he was upstairs. I stayed downstairs because the police were coming at that point, and the police came in, and then Dylan came down halfway down the stairs, and he said, is the back door open? And I said, I don't know, because I was just in the living room. And so I walked over to the dining room, and I could see that it was unlocked, that it was a vertical. But I didn't see that it was open or ajar. I just saw that it was unlocked. I later heard one of the policemen say that it was ajar, but I didn't go any further than like midway of the break front we have of the buffet. I didn't go any further into the house. And then I came back, and the officers asked us to sit on the sofa, sit down, and I sat in the chair.
Did Dylan or Joe say what happened?
I know that Joe said he was stabbed, because I remember him saying, when I was on the phone with the operator, I'm pretty sure I told her he was stabbed. I don't remember.
So, if you told the operator that he was stabbed, you knew he was stabbed the first time he went down?
Yes. When I first saw him, I looked at his face and I saw his eyes rolled back, and I thought maybe he had a seizure or something. But then I remember looking down his body, and I saw some blood. So I definitely knew he was wounded. And that's when I think I saw the knife, but I'm cloudy on that now. But I remember, I thought that when my first glance at him was with the knife sort of by him or on him. He was sort of leaning up against him.
Let me ask you this. If you were to want to get into the back of your house, how would you do it if the gate's locked?
I really don't know. I've never had to do it. My assumption is that they climbed on our car and sort of catapulted themselves over.
If we rolled that out, that they didn't do that?
I don't know whether you can. I don't know whether you can hoist yourself up. I know it's a lot easier to get out because of the ledge from the brick wall.
Let me ask you this. If somebody ran down the steps, would you hear it?
I would think so.
Did you?
I didn't.
You heard, because you heard...
I heard the cry, or the screams, or whatever they were. They were very low. Like when I screamed, when I got hysterical, I was like pretty high-pitched screaming and loud screaming. What I heard that woke me was like a breathy kind of so it was very different from...
Right.
And it was... But we were running down the stairs ourselves, so I don't know whether I'd hear somebody else. I did, and I don't, and again, I question my own memory now, but I thought when I was screaming, I heard the chime again. So so that it could have coincided with our running down the stairs.
So right after you heard the grunts, you went down?
We heard the grunts and we were in bed. We jumped out of bed and sort of ran to the door and paused because we really just didn't know what it was. And then we heard another kind of grunt, and by that time our door was open, and we could tell it was inside the house. I mean, it was because we have a brick wall shared with our neighbors, which sometimes we hear their baby cry and things like that. So, I wasn't sure that it was. I really didn't know what it was, but when we were at the door, I could tell it was in the house.
So the grunting was still going on as...
It stopped. I mean, literally, like, we opened the door and that was the last sort of grunt I heard. And, but it was loud enough and close enough that I knew it was, like, in our house.
So when you went downstairs, Joe went in to see Robert,
Mm-hmm.
and where was Dylan?
I didn't see Dylan at that point. I honestly didn't look around or anything. I mean, I saw Robert, and I sort of backed up a little bit. You know where the stairs are. There's a little sort of landing there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like grabbing my head and screaming, and Joe just kind of grabbed me and said, "Go upstairs and call 911." So I like dashed up the stairs. I mean, it was immediate. So I didn't look around to see if Dylan was coming out of his room. I really didn't see him until I came down the second time when I was on the phone with the operator. And at that point, he was in his robe and he was standing by the doorway. And he looked just, white as a ghost and shocked, just like Joe and I. We were just all...
Alright. Is there anything, I mean, did you notice anything missing, or, if anything was taken out of there? Or?
We really didn't look around, but I didn't notice anything, and our downstairs is very... I mean, it's a very nice house, but we don't have, like, silver or... I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what type of things... We don't even have that. We have some jewelry, but that's up on the 3rd floor. Some rings and some watches and things. I mean, that's what my guess is what the person would have been after, is something very easy to stuff into a pocket. My laptop, when I got home from my trip, I put it behind the sofa, and I think it's still there. I think it was still there when I left. And that was literally right at the end of the sofa. That's the only thing I can think of on the 1st floor that would be, like, easy to grab, that would be worth anything. But even that, I mean, it's an old IBM, but they wouldn't necessarily know that.
Right.
Other than that, we don't have, I mean, I don't think there's anything worth taking. And the other police officer asked me if we kept anything in that office, and we don't. I mean, it's really, we've got the computer in there, and there's files, but we don't have a safe, or we don't keep any of our valuables. I mean, I guess the only valuables we have are some rings and some watches, and they're upstairs on our dresser. And I don't think Dylan has any jewelry. If he does, I mean, it would be costume stuff.
Alright, it's only gonna be a couple more minutes, okay? I know you're tired, you probably wanna get out of here. I gotta go talk to Joe another minute, I'll probably come back, talk to you for another minute, and you'll be on your way, alright?